Hey, I'm Bob at ILikeToMakeStuff. Today I'm going to show you how to make a zip line. You're going to start with some rubber hose, some carabiners, a climbing pulley, a couple of clamp sets, and some steel cable. This cable is 3/8 of an inch and it's rated for 1,500 pounds, so it's more than strong enough for what we're trying to do here. You loosen 3 clamps, slide them over the wire, then slide over the hose, and then wrap it around the tree. Now the hose is going to stop the wire from digging into the tree and damaging it. Once you've got enough excess wire around the tree, feed it back through the clamps, and then space the clamps out anywhere from 6 to 10 inches. You want to make sure that there's plenty of cable going through the clamps and there's plenty of space in between them, so just in case something loosens up, you've got a lot of cable that can pull back through and grab in the clamp. It's just kind of a safeguard. Make sure to tighten down all 6 of the nuts really hard and then move on to the other side. For the other side, you do the exact same thing. The only difference here is that you're probably going to have a whole lot more extra cable that you're going to have to pull through. Now of course you can trim it off, but you want to make sure that you leave enough so that you can adjust the tension of the wire after you get on it and try it out. The overall tightness of this wire is going to have a lot to do with the speed of the zip line. When you're all done, just feed the excess back up through the clamps and then stick it up into the hose just to keep the end out of the way. To make the handle, I got some small PVC pipe. That way it would be small enough for my kids' hands to reach around. I cut it to length and then marked in 2 inches from each end. It's a good idea to use the text on the pipe to keep the marks in line with each other. Then you just drill a hole at each one of the marks. To finish it off, I used some relatively strong nylon cord. I cut off the frayed end and then melted it with a lighter. This will stop it from fraying again. You want to make sure you have plenty of length of this cord, and then you just feed it through one end. It's a little tedious to get it pushed up through the second hole, so you might just want to drill your hole a little bit bigger than you think you need it. Also, the drill leaves kind of a sharp edge on the hole, so the nylon doesn't slide too well. Tie a simple knot on one end, and then while you're keeping the cord tight on the inside of the pipe, tie a simple knot on the other. Now you could go a little bit fancier with this handle, but I wanted to make sure that the ends were open, so just in case moisture got in there or water, it could drain out easily. Take both cords together and tie a knot so that you get a double loop hanging out at the top. The last thing to make is a sacrificial brake. I'm saying sacrificial because it's made out of a cutting board, which is kind of a soft plastic, and it's going to be running over a metal cable. Eventually it's going to wear out and you're going to have to replace it, but luckily it's pretty cheap. When you cut this stuff with a miter saw, it melts it and cuts it at the same time, so you end up with this kind of plastic froth you have to trim off with a blade. I cut it down into 4 basically equal sized pieces so that I could sandwich it around the cable. Now the size for these pieces was dictated purely by the hardware that I was using to attach it. Then I used the router table to put a groove down the middle of 2 of the pieces. You'll probably have to clean out this groove with a chisel or something because that melted plastic stays in there. These grooves come together to make a channel for the cable. I lined all the pieces up and then taped them together so that I could drill some holes. I laid on the hardware that I wanted and then marked where the holes needed to be, and then took it over to the drill press. And just keep in mind, this plastic is a lot more slippery than what you might be used to with drilling into wood, so make sure you keep a tight grip on this thing or it'll go flying. And when you untape it for a test fit, make sure that you keep all the pieces in the right order. In fact, I ended up numbering mine with a pencil. Then you got to take it back apart and sandwich it around the cable. You put it back the exact same way, pushing the bolts through, and then putting nuts in from the other side. You probably want to use some Loctite or something like that to make sure that the bolts and nuts stay in place. Tighten them all up, and you're good to go. The rest of it's really simple. You're going to attach the brake to something stationary like a fence post using bungee cords and carabiners. You don't want to make anything permanent because you're probably going to have to adjust the tension of the bungee cords based on the stopping distance that you have. The pulley goes over the cable and then you put a carabiner through. Now I use 2 of them here so that I can have a low height and a high height for kids or adults. I also added an extra string that makes it easy to pull back. Now obviously you have to build this at your own risk. You have to decide whether you think it's safe for your children in your environment. Everyone is different, and so you just have to use discretion to decide. It's a lot of fun both for kids and for adults. I really enjoy it. The cool thing is that you can change almost everything about it to make it fit your space. Obviously you can make it shorter and longer because everybody's going to have a different tree setup, a different length that they're trying to cover. You can also change the speed of the zip line by tightening or loosening the cable. You can change the braking distance by shortening or lengthening the bungee cords that are attached to it, and depending on your trees you can adjust the angle of it, so if you want the starting point to be a lot higher or a little bit higher, but I think a pretty common angle is 4 degrees. So if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button down there so that I know it, and if you know anybody with kids or anybody that would just like a zip line, be sure to share this around. I think a lot of people might think that this is an expensive or difficult project, but it's actually really not, and it makes a backyard or just a big space a lot of fun. If you want to make one of these of your own, I'm going to have a link down in the description that's going to go to my site, ILikeToMakeStuff.com, with a bunch of affiliate links for every single thing that you'll need. If you buy those items through those links, I get a little bit back from it, so it helps me out quite a bit. If you want to see some more project videos, I got some more here. I have the next episode of Brain Pick coming up with Mark Spagnolo on September 30th at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's a live Q&A show where you can ask him or me any question that you want about our projects or about our skills or about whatever you want. And if you want to show me some stuff you're working on, show me on Instagram or Facebook, or come to ILikeToMakeStuff.com and check out more content. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.